Dionisio at the plate. He's 0 for 2 today. Swakowski, the big right-hander, lets it go. It's right down Broadway. Dionisio lets it fly, and it's raining now.
It's time for Rain Delay Theater with Jeremy Dionisio and Jack Swakowski.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rain Delay Theater, the show where two bums talk about other bums at baseball games. I'm Jeremy Dionisio.
And I'm Jack Swakowski.
This is episode number 310, and we are kind of on the eve of opening day 2026. I guess when this episode is dropping, there is one game Wednesday night. But the full league kicks off in full force on Thursday, and we are excited, and we have our kind of like a little bit of opening day stuff to talk about. But we're gonna actually take this moment to talk about the actual game of baseball and give our award winner predictions, our World Series matchup predictions, and stuff like that. So yeah, just kind of like some official like baseball business before we get into the nonsense of graphing and bus predictions and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, and we should note that we're actually going to a game this week. You know, weather permitting, it looks like the forecast is clear on Saturday. So we'll be going to our first game in just a matter of days. That first series against with the Cubs and Nationals.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's exciting. Yeah. So the next episode will be a recap. So that will be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so before we get into all that, I guess the NCAA tournament is going on right now. Jack, you and I are both in a pool together for the NCAA tournament, and we're pretty close to each other.
You know, Jeremy, are we? I haven't bothered to look at what my results are. To be honest with you, I don't feel like I've done well enough to even be in the running to win. I was doing well up until last night.
Yeah, I had a feeling maybe I feel like this happened a few years ago where like you were like I don't know if you got off to a good start or what, but I was I feel like they do send out like the link so you can kind of follow along. Let me just try to pull it up here really quick. So you are. I didn't know you were doing it actually until I saw you in the standings there. But you are. I mean, it's a log jam, but you're in 11th place right now.
Okay.
With 51 points. I'm right behind you with 50 points in 21st place. So obviously there's a lot of people in the mix there, but I have a higher like maximum points available. I think you had you lost one of your Sweet 16 teams, maybe one of your
I think it was one of my Final Four teams, if I'm not mistaken. I might have had Florida in the Final Four.
No, you got Houston. You had Florida and you're missing Florida and Gonzaga in the Sweet 16, and I'm just missing Florida, I think. But obviously anything can happen. But but yeah, I don't know. Did you? I know you get into the tournament. Yeah. What'd you think of the first weekend?
Yeah, no, it was good, Jeremy. So the thing about that pool is, I during the first weekend I pay attention to who I have in the Sweet 16, and I'm surprised to hear it's only two teams after not Florida, but after Gonzaga got knocked out by Texas. I was kind of pissed. I was like, well, shit. And then Florida got knocked off last night, and I didn't actually bother to look this morning because to win this thing you have to do really well. In it, like there's so many people enter that pool, which is great because it's a big payout. But to win, you really truly have to know. That being said, there's been some interesting games, interesting surprises. Friday was kind of a disappointing day because there was really only about one good game. It was that Kentucky game right at the end when that guy Santa Clara, I think, when that guy hit that shot. That was cool. It was interesting to see UNC. Yeah, that was a good one. It was interesting to see UNC blow a 19-point lead on Thursday. So it seems like that job is going to open up. So and Kansas too. Kansas lost yesterday to St. John's. And so people are saying Bill Self might retire. So to have the Kansas and UNC jobs open up in the same coaching carousel will be pretty interesting to see who takes those jobs if they do open up, and then like who will take the jobs that those guys had. So that'll be fairly interesting. Jeremy, we saw St. John's play, so they're in the Sweet 16 now. I thought they were pretty mid, but Rick Pitino's got them playing good, and I mean they played Duke, and I think they've got a pretty good chance against Duke in the Sweet 16. So it would be it'll make our Rick Pitino autographs a little bit more prestigious if he can make a deep run here.
It is cool, yeah, for the graphing tie-in that they're kind of like making a little run here. I'm looking at the pool, and only one person on like my whole screen has St. John's beating Duke. I think both of us have Duke winning the whole thing, so that would that would seriously mess up our chances. But yeah, it is pretty cool. I can't help but think that they were like losing at one point to DePaul, and then I'm like, well, how is this team going to beat Duke and go all the way to the Elite Eight? But anything's possible, and like that was long enough ago that they're hitting their stride. So there were some good games that I had Santa Clara, and so that was a real bummer, because I'm in this other pool where you pick one of each of the four seeds for each seed. So you pick one of the 1 seeds, one of the 2 seeds, one of the 3 seeds, and every time you win, you get their points. So I was looking good after like one round, but the people who have Iowa and Texas are the ones who are kind of like, sitting pretty in that pool. But I had like VCU, I had St. Louis, I had Santa Clara. So but that's a whole different animal. But I don't know the brackets. I'm not sure if I've ever. No, I did win. I won like second place in the brackets one year. By a tiebreaker, actually, I think. Okay. So, anything's possible still, but, I think like good amount of people have Duke, so we would be kind of competing with them.
Yeah, for sure. There are games in Chicago this weekend as well. So the Midwest bracket, it's Michigan versus Alabama and Tennessee, Iowa State. Those games are Friday night. I was looking on the secondary market for those. The worst seats in the house are about 300. So, I had briefly considered going to those, but I don't know. The TV sounds a lot better for those prices and those games. So maybe not this year.
I was wondering, as big teams who were in that bracket lose, like how many tickets would kind of pop up. So if you were really like serious about going, it'd be interesting to like refresh on like StubHub or SeatGeek or whatever, like right after, like, I don't know who got upset, like who would have been in those games.
So to be honest, probably the biggest team to make it would have been Michigan, and Michigan got in. And they were the number 1 seed in the Midwest, which figures. If Illinois had been in that bracket in the Midwest, the tickets would have been astronomical, but they're in the South, so that didn't happen. So there's going to be a lot of Michigan fans there, and Iowa State is relatively close as well. Relatively speaking, so there'll be a lot of Iowa State fans there too. Okay,
there weren't too many upsets in that region.
No, it was mostly chalk.
Yeah. So that blows my theory, but yeah. So all right. Well, I thought it's interesting. Oh, one thing I was gonna say, and this is the whole thing. So you're like you follow NCAA basketball. I don't really, and I'm like 1 point behind you. So that goes to show you like what betting the tournament is. Obviously, I'm sure most people listening have been in a bracket. Jack, at one point, my sister-in-law was in first place after like at some point on Friday, and it was like she hasn't. I'm not sure if she's ever watched any basketball, and she didn't even. I heard my wife talking to her, and she was like, I didn't even look at the seedings. I just picked like whatever teams. So sure. She was in first place at one point. So.
Yeah, well, the truth is, if you pick mostly chalk for this, you usually do fairly well. I think that's going to be truer and truer as the big schools with their NIL budgets, et cetera. probably going to see fewer and fewer upsets, as the years go on. I will say, F Miami, Ohio, that team that was undefeated. Yeah. I don't think they should have been in the tournament to begin with. Like, they had a terrible schedule. Marquette, the team I follow, was terrible this year. And I think in terms of KenPom, which is one of the rating systems they use, Marquette was actually above Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio didn't play anybody at all this year, but they still got in the tournament. They beat a terrible SMU team, but then they just got their asses kicked. And once they, played a real team in Tennessee, they lost by 22 points. Probably, I didn't watch much of that game because it was never that close, but probably because Rick Barnes, the coach of Tennessee, kept it. He's classy enough not to blow them out. But yeah, screw that team, man. There's all this stuff about these high major teams wouldn't play us. You're going to have to go on the road to play those teams. They're not going to give you a neutral site game. So Nate Oates said it, the coach of Alabama, you want to play a high major team, you got to go on the road and do it and maybe take a loss. So I don't have any sympathy for Miami, Ohio, or Travis Steele, their coach. He was a flop at Xavier before he got fired. So screw that team. I was glad to see them lose.
You should listen to Dan Bernstein's podcast talking about Miami of Ohio. He was kind of roasting them last week or so. It was interesting, the insight on all that. Not to get too deep into this basketball, but they were playing these teams that were not even putting the games on their official schedules. They were listing them as exhibitions, but Miami of Ohio was listing them as actual NCAA games. That sounds all kinds of messed up. But
so I wasn't too sad to see them go. So anyway, I think that the more chalk actually happens, the better the Sweet 16 games are. So regardless of the fact that I don't feel like I have much of a chance to win, should be some good games this weekend. So it's going to be tough to switch between that and baseball when I'm watching TV on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, right. So so we'll see what happens with all that. Yeah, Jack. But so opening day, right around the corner. I think obviously I've gone to a lot of opening day games. But I don't know. Do you have any? Do you have any memorable opening day games for just either the Brewers or any other games around the league?
I only have one that because I usually don't go to opening day. So that said, I think we've mentioned this maybe once or twice before on the podcast, way before we ever started recording. Not way before, but probably at least 5 years before. You and I went to an opening day. I think it was Brewers versus Cubs.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do. I think I don't know how that ended up happening, but it might have been because it was rained out the day before or something like that. But I don't know. But that was it's always cool to go to those. I wonder if that was even the first game we went to
together.
Yeah.
It stands to reason it might have been because I don't remember us ever going to a game together before that. Was my memory serve? Was that 2013 that we went together?
That seems feasible, yeah.
Okay.
Because we met in 2011, I believe.
Yep.
So, that sounds about right. I remember it being kind of cold. I think it was maybe it was okay. I remember going to. Did we go to 2 games in a row that year?
We went to opening day, and it was cold, but I think it was sunny. But then we went maybe the night after that, or maybe they had a day off, and the night, whatever. We went to the second game of that series, and it was a night game, and it was just absolutely freezing outside.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. Tale of 2 games. So that's cool. I just not even from games that I've gone to, but I do remember I have a memory. I think it was 1994 where Tuffy Rhodes hit 3 homers off of Doc Gooden in the Cubs home opener against the Mets. I really wanted to ask Doc Gooden about that when I met him, but I didn't know how that would go over. And I was even thinking about it again last night when we were going to do this topic, and I'm like, who the hell knows? Gooden might have been fucking strung out or something, like, and that's why he gave up 3 homers. So like I didn't. It's probably best to not even go there. Like it may have been funny to like mention it and like kind of like laugh about it or something, but who knows? That could be like a really dark memory for Doc Gooden. So
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it like and just like my mind was blown. I was 12 years old at the time, about to turn 13, and yeah, he like I remember like Carl Rhodes like. And I think he went to Japan and came back, and his nickname was Tuffy Rhodes. And I remember Harry Carey calling him Tuffy Rhodes. I'm like, who the fuck is Tuffy Rhodes?
Yeah.
And like, is he Carl Rhodes? Like, is that the same guy? And like, where did this nickname come from? And it was just a weird occurrence, especially as like like a 12-year-old kid, like not being fully on the ball of things. But that was always a big memory.
Yeah, he hit over
working
50
day.
home runs in Japan too, didn't he? Something like that.
I think so. Yeah, it's him and Matt Merton both were like Cubs who did really good in Japan, I guess. But
yeah, Tuffy Rhodes.
Yeah.
They got to get him back to CubsCon.
I mean, that would be cool, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Like those are the kinds of guys they should be trying to get in. And I know we kind of speculated like next year if there's a lockout, like. Will they just bring back a bunch of old guys and like vet guys, which would be cool for us? I know we would think that would be cool, and that would be cool if they could get someone like Tuffy Rhodes. He should be like he should shoot up to the top of the list if they can't get like, active players. So
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good one, Jeremy. And even as a non-Cubs fan, as a guy who was following baseball, I sure do remember Tuffy Rhodes. Okay, yeah. So I think we were just gonna give a few predictions as to what some awards during the regular season, as well as World Series matchup and winners. Maybe some predictions for the Brewers and Cubs as well. I think we've done this in years past. There were like 2 years in a row where I correctly predicted the Cy Young winner, but I did not. The second year with Corbin Burns, they have actually pretty good odds for him on DraftKings too, favorable odds for a better. But I did not make the bet, which was, I still regret. It was like, plus 20,000 or something. So anyway, yeah, Jeremy, I guess to start, we were going to do Rookie of the Year.
yeah.
So yeah, who do you have for the AL in Rookie of the Year?
It's funny. The guy I was gonna pick for AL Rookie of the Year, I found out he isn't eligible anymore. So I had to scramble. That was like the first like award that I like thought of, and then I'm like, oh and I checked and I was like, shit, he isn't eligible. So
Yeah.
I kind of had to go back to the drawing board, and so like, yeah, I don't know. This was the only category I looked up odds for, just to kind of help point me in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think it's always weird to pick a guy. It's like extra difficult to pick a guy who's not gonna make the team on opening day, because you're just assuming they'll be up long enough to make an impact. But so I went with I think this guy played last year a little bit, and I think is gonna make the opening day roster. But I went with Carter Jensen of the Kansas City Royals.
Okay, yeah, a catcher, right?
Yeah, he is a catcher, which when you talk about Kansas City, that doesn't sound like he's gonna play a lot. But I think he's gonna DH a lot.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know. He seems to have like good power numbers, and he is like a high pedigree guy. Jack, another reason I guess when now that graphing, I'm starting to turn into Dennis, where graphing like is part of everything that I kind of like analyze. But Carter Jensen was one of the guys I got in Beloit a few years ago when we saw the what the hell? What was it? The Quad City River Bandits? Is that their? Yeah, Quad Cities.
Yeah. Jeremy, did I get Carter Jensen too? Or, I mean, I can't remember if I had a card for him or not.
You might not have had a card for him. I got him on a Bowman first that I just had. So yeah.
Was he a big prospect at that time?
I mean, he's a 3rd round draft pick. So he was up there. I don't whenever there's a catcher, like a catcher prospect, it's kind of hard to like, kind of earmark him as like a impact prospect,
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if he was like yeah, I don't think he was like a high radar guy at that point, but he's just hit consistently. Decent power and decent average. So, yeah, I don't know. He played in 20 games last year and hit 3 homers.
Yeah.
Hit 300 all told. So, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely higher names on the list, but just kind of threw a dart and kind of ended up with Carter Jensen.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's such a crapshoot for Rookie of the Year. Pat Listash won. So my pick is Munetaka Murakami.
Ah, nice. Okay, well that's wishful thinking. Yeah.
I guess if you're a Sox fan, it is. It just feels like it would be a White Sox thing for him to win Rookie of the Year, and then I don't know if they would try to trade him or what. I think maybe he's on a 2-year deal.
He should have had like an out clause written into his contract. Like if he wins Rookie of the Year, like he's an automatic free agent.
That would be funny. But yeah, I could see it happening. There's not much pressure on him to really produce here in Chicago. The White Sox are bad, but Rookie of the Year, you don't necessarily need to have a good team to be able to win an award like Rookie of the Year. So I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to hit for some good power.
I mean, I like that. I liked Murakami like years ago since the last WBC. And I feel like everyone's like talked him down so much since like since the off season. Like you almost would have thought that the White Sox hired people to like kind of pan him in like news so he would fall to the White Sox or something. Because I thought he was going to be a Dodger or a Yankee.
Sure.
So yeah, like I feel like people were so down on him, but I'm like, the guy will probably mash. He'll probably hit 25 homers. So like, that's pretty good. If he hits 220, it's like, well, join the club. Everyone else hits 220 anyway.
Yep.
So, whatever. So I like that pick. I still, I would definitely like to see him succeed.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, he plays in a park where it's a good home run hitter's park as well. What about NL, Jeremy? Who do you have for that?
For NL, this one I feel very bullish about. And I'm very pissed because I just finished a fantasy draft and I thought that I could kind of steal this guy late. And I got screwed in both leagues that I'm in on this guy, but I really wanted him. I have Sal Stewart from the Reds.
Okay, yeah. Tell me more about that pick.
Yeah, I mean, like the dude came up last year and also mashed. He had 55 at bats and he hit 5 homers. So hit 255, and he's gonna. I think I just saw like he's gonna bat cleanup for the Reds to start the year.
Okay.
So I don't have the Reds in the World Series, but I do. I kind of like. I'm also bullish on the Reds this year. We can get more into that later, but I like the way that their lineup is shaking out. Like, I think Matt McLain's going to have a good year. I think Noelvi Marte might be pretty decent, and so like if Sal Stewart is hitting, and you have Ellie there too. Like I think it's like rising tide raises all ships. So like I think I don't know. I think they can all benefit from each other doing well. So like I think Sal Stewart's going to mash in the majors, and I'm feeling pretty good about him.
That's not a bad pick, Jeremy. And you want to talk about a park that's a hitter's park, especially a home run hitter's park. He certainly plays in probably the best one in baseball. Did Hunter Green go down with an injury recently?
Yeah, he is. He's going to be out. That's the only thing with the Reds, of course, is like their pitching. And Andrew Abbott has been getting his tits lit in spring training, which could mean something, could not mean something. But that's not certainly helping things. I mean, I'm not betting on the Reds, but I do think they're going to do pretty well. They made the playoffs last year, didn't they? Didn't they? Was that last year or 2 years ago? It was last year or 2 years. They made like. Yeah, they got swept, I think, in the first round.
They played the Dodgers, right? Maybe.
Yeah. So, they had no business making the playoffs, regardless of whatever year it was. But I don't know. I'm kind of I kind of think they might be okay. I'm happy for Nutrients guy if nothing else.
Yeah, well, and they have a good manager too in Francona, so they have some things going for them. My rookie of the year pick for the NL, I guess another Chicago connection. We're talking 4 letters here, ONKC. Owen Casey is my pick for rookie of the year potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that he's going to be playing in a low pressure environment in Miami. I think he's going to get a real shot with that team. He's certainly, he's an eye test guy. He's got all the intangibles, and I guess if you want to take it back to graphing, it's like it figures that a guy like who would just only personalize and was an asshole at CubsCon would win. Like a guy I've gotten but personalized would win Rookie of the Year.
I was gonna say I give you credit for not holding that against him with your with your pick. You didn't let your emotions get in the way there, but I think it was Harold Reynolds on MLB Network was trying to compare like Owen Casey to Kyle Tucker. Okay. And I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I like Owen Casey. I kind of rooted for him. I followed him ever since he became a Cub in the Yu Darvish trade, and I was prospecting him and stuff. But I'm like that's going like a little bit too far. But maybe that helped.
I think so too. I agree.
Yeah, maybe that helped the Cubs get Edward Cabrera for him, I guess, maybe.
Right.
But I'm full of conspiracy theories this week, I guess. But that's a little too far. But I think, I don't know. Yeah, my thing about Casey, like with the Cubs letting him go, was like I was worried he might strike out too much. He kind of sometimes feels like he has kind of like a slow bat, but I think it's just because he's so tall and I don't know, but I agree with what you're saying. Like it'll definitely be a low pressure situation. He'll have a lot of David Ross runway, to make his mark with that team. So I could see that happening for sure.
Yeah, right on. Cool. I think the next one we have is Cy Young. So I guess I could give my AL prediction first. And it's not a. It's not the earth-shattering year, but I think that this might be Garrett Crochet's year to win a Cy Young.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I was also gonna say, just for the record, I wanted to, with all these awards, I'm like, well, we'll talk more about it, but I'm kind of weary of taking any Cubs for whatever reasons, but I did like Moises Ballesteros too for Rookie of the Year shot, but
sure, yeah.
But yeah, and then so for Cy Young, that makes sense. Crochet was someone I was thinking about as well, and he's in a good situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. And he was a hoss last year, as Jim Ross, WWE would say about Brock Lesnar. But yeah, his stats were amazing. He had a 2.59 ERA in 205 and a third innings. So nobody pitches that much anymore. 255 strikeouts, only allowed 162 hits, only walked 46 guys. So those are pretty sick numbers. So I think this might just be his year to take it. Also, again, if you look at things from a White Sox perspective, it would make sense that, they trade away a guy and 2 years later he wins the Cy Young. They got rid of Sale and, years later he won a Cy Young, but it just that's just the way it works.
Yeah, and Kyle Teal starting the year on the IL with the hamstring. Right. So yeah, that would also make sense. I guess I think we can get into it, but I think if you're big on the Red Sox this year, they could surprise some people, or they could do well this year. Crochet would definitely play a big part in that. So yeah. All right. Well, so for AL, this is the guy who I wanted to pick for Rookie of the Year, and I was like, oh, he exceeded the limitations for Rookie of the Year, the eligibility. So I'm like, well, then I'll just pick him for Cy Young, I guess. I went with Cam Schlittler for Cy Young.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Talk more about that.
an ambitious pick. I guess what I was getting at before too, when I was kind of getting into like the things I was trying to avoid, Cubs. Also with Cy Young and MVP, it seems like the same four guys have been winning these awards every year. So
No,
you're almost
I was going to say last year it seemed like they decided Skubal was going to get it before the season even started.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, why wouldn't you just pick him again to win? If there's no reason to think he's going to be not as good. He's in a contract year, I believe. So
He is, yeah.
Yeah. So if anything, he would win it again this year. But it's kind of boring to pick. It's like, hey, I'm going to pick the guy who's won it the last 2 years in a row. But so I'm just going out on a limb. Like, it'll probably be Skubal. But yeah, I don't know. Schlittler, like. I don't know. I guess I'm just really high on him. He pitched great in the playoffs last year. I think the Yankees will be good this year. And so like, I'm just looking at that rotation, and it's like, well, who's gonna like lead that rotation? Like there is Max Fried, of course. Cole and Rodon are injured right now. So yeah, I don't know. I think like. I don't know. It seems like these young pitchers kind of step up and like are good. If they don't go down with Tommy John surgery, they sometimes like end up leading the league. So I don't know. I think maybe first full year pitching. Who knows? Why not Cam Schlittler?
Yeah, I can't be surprised he pitched that much last year too. And I'm like, he started 14 games. It's a lot.
Yeah, me too. I could have swore. I'm getting him confused with Trey Savage. I think I kind of thought he pitched almost about the same, but Savage might not have even pitched in the regular season. I can't remember, but yeah. So I was surprised he exceeded eligibility, but yeah. So I mean, that's maybe a better reason to take him this year. Like he has a little more experience under his belt. So yeah, I don't know. Cam Schlittler is who I got.
Nice. For NL, I had Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies.
Jack, I also have Christopher Sanchez.
Cool. Yeah. He might. I guess he might be kind of a hot pick right now for that. He just signed an extension or a deal.
Yeah.
6-year extension, whatever it was, with the Phillies. Good for him for getting the bag there. But this is his age 29 season. He's gotten better every single year the last couple of years. His numbers were amazing last year. So it just seems like all of that, with his age, his trajectory, the fact that the Phillies will be good again. It seems like it's all adding up to him, getting a Cy Young this year.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't look at the odds at all for this, or even like predictions per se, but yeah, I see he's like just behind Skeens and Yamamoto, and again, Skeens like seems like, well, just pick Skeens, I guess, if you're trying to pick the Cy Young, but
right.
But yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, he seems to be like coming into his own, like coming into his prime years, and I think I for all those same reasons, I think he's just been pretty dominant, and he's kind of flown under the radar a little bit, I think, like nationally speaking, maybe because Zach Wheeler, but
even on his own team, right? I mean, Wheeler, Nola.
Yeah. So he's pretty good, so I could definitely see it happening.
Yeah, heck yeah. Okay, so I think our next thing up here is MVP. Who do you have in the AL?
So yeah, I just kind of was just like looking at some of the best players in baseball and guys who just haven't like really been in competition. Again, Judge, it's Aaron Judge and Ohtani, but so just trying to pick someone else who's kind of like just at that upper echelon who I think maybe could like have an exceptional year. So I picked Bobby Witt Jr.
Okay, yeah, there you go. I mean, he in any other year in 2024, he would have been the MVP. He had an outstanding year. I think he hit like 330 or something like that. Bunch of stolen bases, great defense, a lot of power. No reason for him not to win one eventually.
Yeah, for sure. So I figured if it's not Judge, why not him?
Nice. So I had kind of a surprise pick here for my MVP. So I think the Tigers are going to be good this year. I guess we can get into that in a second for the World Series predictions. But I think this might be. I think Riley Green. I have him as the MVP this year. I was looking at his numbers, from last year, and he had great numbers. His average was decent. It was 258, which is solid. But he had 36 homers and 111 RBIs, which is great. Those are great power numbers. He's also, it's his age 24 season, so he's 25 this year. Those numbers, he did strike out 201 times, but I feel like that's, if you're hitting 24 home runs at age 20, 36 home runs at age 24, I think he's just on the cusp of breaking out. So with that and the Tigers being good, I think I'm going to pick him as my MVP.
Yeah, that's a kind of one you would maybe take a flyer on with a bet. Just with those odds he's getting.
And I may need to as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a good pick. I was looking at teams who I think will be good, and I was looking at the Tigers, and I'm like, well, who would lead that team? I couldn't really.
Yep.
Green didn't stand out to me just without like running down the roster. So, but
Sure.
I think that's a good pick on a team. Yeah, you look at a team who could like contend and. Who would lead that team, and so that's how I ended up with Witt. But yeah, Green fits that bill as well.
Yeah. I'm excited about him. What about the NL, Jeremy? Who do you have?
NL. I meant to look this up. I don't think he's won MVP ever. Hold on, let me just. Yeah, no, he hasn't. So okay, so yeah, and I might be tipping my hand for the next prediction, but I have Juan Soto.
That's funny. I had Juan Soto too, so we were on on the same page for the NL. But yeah, I looked at Soto. He was runner up last year in MVP. I think. This is maybe the year he actually takes it.
Right, because he hasn't won. He hasn't ever won MVP, and a guy like that, you figure he would have one at some point. So yeah, like. If the Mets are going to be good, which their payroll is banking on it, Soto's going to especially with Alonso gone now, Soto's going to have to be the leader of that team.
He will,
and I think like Lindor is even injured, maybe a little, or he's kind of banged up to start the season. So like Soto's got to take a step forward. So if he's going to ever do it, like I feel like this has to be the year, and he's certainly capable of doing that. So, like, yeah, I figured he's as good as pick as anybody.
Yeah, he is. They just got Bo Bichette for at least this year. So, maybe that'll help him out a little bit too. I also feel like with Alonso gone, Soto could walk 200 times as well, which will be interesting. So that's my pick. I think that's a pretty solid pick right there.
That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, we doubled up on NL, their MVP and Cy Young.
Amazing. I do like those odds for Riley Green. I might have to place a $10 bet on that after we get off this call. World Series. Jeremy, I'll just give you my AL team first. I kind of already said it, but I think the Tigers, they are my pick to make the World Series, to win the American League pennant. Their pitching is obviously, they're built around pitching. They've got Skubal. They signed Framber Valdez. They've got Tyler Holton in the bullpen. They've got Jack Flaherty on the team as well. I don't know that Justin Verlander is going to be any good this year, but he certainly brings good vibes with him to that team. I know he wants to be in Detroit. I guess the real question I have about the Tigers is their actual roster. They just don't have, outside of my MVP pick, Riley Green, who admittedly is a bit of a flyer, a bit of a shot in the dark for that. They just don't have a real solid roster of guys with long track records as good major league hitters.
Yeah, they have a lot of kind of what ifs, or guys who could go one way or the other.
Yes.
Torres, Baez, Torkelson, who Jack, you should probably make, if you're bullish on the Tigers, you should probably make another Torkelson over under.
Year. Well, I was actually want to do Nick Kurtz this year, but
okay.
Yeah, Torkelson would be good too.
And then so they do have a high prospect, Kevin McGonigal, who could come in and kind of contribute to the team, but they have a lot of question marks in their roster, but they also have been really good the last several years. So it's been working for them. So I could they were honestly, Jack, they were my first pick, and then I kind of just looked at some other teams and I ended up replacing them. But the Tigers were the first team that jumped out to me as well. So I think it's a good pick.
Yeah. You ever see because I was thinking of McGonagall too. Do you ever see the Simpsons episode with McGarnagle? There you go. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Cool.
McGonagall.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do it for me, Billy McGarnagle. Yeah, McGarnagle is supposed to be, for those of you who've never seen it, he's like he's Dirty Harry, basically.
Yeah.
Funny stuff. And then they're like, well, McGarnagle, Billy's dead. And Billy was like a kid. Yeah. Funny stuff, but okay. So they were your pick. Who is your pick then?
Well, it's not exciting, but I was looking at the Yankees and I was just feeling like the Yankees could pull it out this year.
Yeah, Well, they haven't won since 2009, is it?
Yeah, I think so. And then they were in the World Series. What was it? 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2024.
So it's not they've at least been around, but I don't know. I'm just like I mean obviously Judge, but I mean they have Jazz Chisholm, they have Trent Grisham is like a guy who's he's like a qualifying offer kind of guy at this point, so that's kind of crazy. Bellinger seems to like be rejuvenated in New York. I like Austin Wells. And then like the pitching staff, once it's healthy, I mean, you got Fried, Schlittler, Cole, Rodon, and then like someone like Will Warren or Clark Schmidt or whatever. So like they, I don't know. And then their bullpen is pretty good too. So like and of course they'll add people. So Luis Gil, whatever. They have him in there too. So like I don't know. I think any team that has to go through New York, it's going to be really hard. Like a Kansas City or a Detroit or whoever, it'll be hard to kind of get past them. I also like the Red Sox too, and I know that the Mariners got really close too, but I don't know. I just I for some reason just that pitching like the pitching I think for New York kind of leans me to their direction.
Yeah, Hey, they even have Tim Hill on that team. Remember when remember when he blew right by you when you asked him for an autograph when he was at the Padres?
Yeah. He's like an all-timer.
Yeah, that is because we were the only two out there at that point. Yeah, it would be nice to see Giancarlo Stanton, Big G, take home a World Series. So that would that's a good pick, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's not the most original pick, but it is what it is. So
it's I for the NL. This is not terribly original. I didn't want to pick the Dodgers, so I ended up going with the Phillies for this one.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, they've got a good starting pitching staff. Sanchez, Nola did not seem like he had a very good year last year. I felt like Wheeler was a lot older than he is. He was born in 1990. I was like, I thought that guy was like 40 at this point, but he's not. He just came up early, so he's still got some years left. They just signed Schwarber to the big extension. They still have Harper. They I think re-signed Real Muto. Alec Boehm is hanging on for one more year. They've got Trey Turno. So they do have a roster of established guys. And they've never taken home the big prize. And they got rid of the clubhouse. They got rid of Castellanos. So who knows? I think they're gonna make it, but I think they're gonna maybe come up short. I think maybe this is the year the Tigers do it. So, I think the Phillies are gonna win the NL pennant.
Okay. Yeah. I know I am kind of tired of the Phillies at this point, but and then even in addition to those guys that you named, they somehow got Adolis Garcia kind of like for like just like under the table almost. Like it just seemed like he just ended up on that team. It's like, well, that's the last team that needs him because they already have a good roster. But I think Justin Crawford is going to make the opening day roster for them. Carl Crawford's kid, so he's going to be in the mix right away. And then they have Andrew Painter. Pitcher I don't know if he's going to break camp with the club, but he's he's knocking on the door. So
Yeah.
he could be. He's also, I would also put him in as a rookie of the year contender. But yeah, so they have help, and then they have the bullpen is quite good too, and they added Brad Keller, which is
Yep.
yeah, they're a good team on paper. For me, like again, like I was just trying to look at teams in the National League who have a shot, and like I feel like there's only like three or four teams that are kind of bouncing around for me. Obviously the Dodgers, and then like you have to assume, I mean, I don't know if you have to assume, but like a lot of people seem to assume that the Cubs are going to win the Central. And like, again, it's like, can I pick the Cubs to win, to go to the World Series? I don't know if I can do that. So then who else do you look at besides that? And honestly, the Phillies, I wasn't really even looking too much at the Phillies, but the team is going to be good again this year. I don't think these guys are for real, but again, it's like if they're gonna, it's like kind of like put up or shut up sort of thing. I picked the Mets.
Okay.
So I have a Subway Series rematch for the
cool.
World Series. Yeah. I guess so. I guess it would be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I think I do like Bichette. Them adding him, Jorge Polanco too, I think is like a good addition.
Sure. They've got Marcus Semien, right?
Yeah, Marcus Semien. Peralta, the addition of Peralta could be big for them. I almost wanted to pick him for Cy Young.
Okay.
It's funny. It's like this almost like rides on Luis Robert becoming an actual like good baseball player. If he can be what he's supposed to be, then the Mets could they could really give the Dodgers a run for their money. That's a big if. But I don't know. There's something about looking at their roster. I'm looking at their depth chart right now on Fangraphs, and it's like, this looks like a good roster. I still think they're full of shit. Like I hate Steve Cohen and the money that they throw at the team. But it's put up or shut up. It's like, hey, you go ahead, spend all this money, but if you can't win, then you're just wasting your money. Not that he's gonna miss it, but so it's like it's a prove it year for the Mets, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I also just don't like David Stearns at all. I know I've asked for his autograph a few times. That doesn't mean that I like him. And also Luis Robert. It would be a White Sox thing if he had an amazing season this year. So there's no reason to believe why he's not going to do great this year.
It's sad but true.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I mean. If you put those two teams against each other, the Mets and the Yankees, I guess I'm picking Yankees, but just because of that extra factor of me not necessarily believing that much in the Mets. But if the Cubs sneak in there, hey, I won't be too upset about that either. But yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Well, Jeremy, just some real quick predictions about the two teams that we follow. I predicted records for both teams. I had the Brewers at 80 and 82, and the Cubs at 96 and 66. So I do think that the Cubs are going to win the Central Division. I don't think the Brewers are realistic contenders. I mean, with everybody that they picked up a few guys in some trades, like Kyle Harrison, which could be, it'll be interesting to follow how he does. I'm not sure if they're going to get what they did out of Quinn Priester last year again this year. Be interesting to see how Brandon Sproat does as well. Another guy they picked up in a trade on our boy Angel Zerpa, who had a good, people were excited, watching him in the WBC. So he could be a good pickup for them too. But just their roster, I just don't see that as a team that can make a deep playoff run. It is the Brewers, so they do always seem to overachieve, but eventually that that carriage is going to turn into a pumpkin. I feel like maybe this is the year that happens.
Yeah, just real quick, I just like with Cousin Jim, and I guess it's fitting they're both on the same team, but like
sure,
the Angel has got to be like the best like inside joke, like extremely inside joke nickname of any player in the Angel. Like, oh my god, I want to just throttle that guy when I think about that. I think it's Angel. Like, what?
Oh my god.
What the? I can't even do like process that. It's such buffoonery. But anyway, it's gonna be great having him, in the division this year.
Oh yeah.
I would like to get him too at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think everyone keeps saying like it's gonna, when is the luck gonna run out for the Brewers? I when they traded Peralta, I was just thinking like, well, this is not good for them. When you look at their roster, I think Priester's injured to start the year, but he did look pretty good. Is that right, Jack? Is he injured?
I'd have to look that up. I don't follow spring training too much, to be honest with you. But yeah, let's see that here. Yeah, headed for injured list as of 3 hours ago. So yep, yeah, he'll be injured.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how long he'll be on the shelf. I don't think too long, but yeah, Mizorowski, Woodruff, and then yeah, I don't know, like they end up making something out of these guys like Chad Patricks, and I bet Carol Harrison will kind of have a reclamation with the Brewers, but it's just hard to keep saying like they'll still do it this year.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't know they had Luis Rengifo. I don't know when that happened. Did they sign?
Yeah. I think they just picked him up off the. I don't think they traded for him, so they might have just picked him up as a free agent. He's been good for the Angels a few times. We got his autograph, so I don't think that's a bad pickup.
No, I don't think so either. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I have the Cubs. I have the Cubs winning the division. I guess because of what I'm thinking for the Reds, I probably have them ahead of the Brewers in the standings. So 80 and 82s is kind of harsh, but maybe I have them maybe just a little bit above that, but
sure.
Yeah, and the Cubs maybe I would go a little lower, like maybe like 90 94, 95 wins or something. But
okay.
But yeah, somehow I would probably put the Reds somewhere in between those two. So
sure.
I don't know. I think the Pirates are gonna suck again this year. I don't know why everyone's so like they signed a bunch of like fringe bum guys and everyone's excited about the Pirates. So I don't know about all that. But yeah, it would be hard to pick against the Cubs. Although as a Cubs insider guy, like Tyon's had a horrible spring training. Horton did have a bad spring training, but he did really good his last start, which is probably a good one to do good at. Boyd has been a little bit of a question mark, so I don't know what's going to happen with them. And Palencia seems really great, but I don't know if I'm convinced he's going to be like an everyday closer for the team. So I don't know what could happen there, but
Suzuki's hurt too, right?
Yeah, Suzuki's hurt. I think he's probably going to start on the IL, but I think he'll be back sooner than later. I think he's really primed to have a really good year, actually.
Yeah.
He was looking pretty good. I hopefully the injury doesn't derail that. But yeah, I mean, I would bet on the Cubs to win the Central for sure.
Yeah. I also read today that I think Michael Conforto is going to be on the opening day roster.
Yeah. He is because of the Suzuki injury. So
yeah, that'll be interesting. Maybe try to get his autograph. There's the guy I should have picked for MVP. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe he'll be up and down this year too.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah. So yeah, that we'll have some more kind of like Cubs Brewers stuff with our over under episode coming up in a few weeks. But yeah, I think that's a good primer to kind of get us ready for opening day.
Yeah. So that'll be good, and we'll have a game recap for you next time because we're going to the game this Saturday. Yeah,
should be very exciting. I'll be at opening day again for I think it's like 23rd year in a row or something. It's kind of crazy. But yeah. So I just got a notification here. Breaking news. Even though this doesn't come out for 2 days, Cubs finalizing extension with Pete Crow Armstrong. That's going to be for a lot of money, I bet. Yeah, that's
Okay.
gonna be a lot of money.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
must have
'cause
known
he
that
was-
was
he-
coming when he badmouthed the Dodgers fans.
I was gonna say, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to sign off and read about what the terms are of that. But hey, good
Yeah.
for him. Maybe he'll start signing for adults now.
Yeah, it's nice to have him in Chicago. I obviously like the guy, but yeah. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But we're finally here at opening day, so it's very exciting, and I'm excited to graph. And I need the Nationals to finalize their roster so I can put my book together.
Yeah, you're not gonna need Dylan Cruz.
No, not unless I'm going to Harrisburg or wherever their AAA
Right.
affiliate is. So that'll do it for this episode, folks. But baseball's back, and be excited. So for this episode of Rain Delay Theater, I'm Jeremy Dionisio.
I'm Jack Swakowski.
We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.